The world is a giant puzzle made up of two opposing pieces, the light of comfort and the darkness of suffering. While many of us wake up each morning in warm homes, with clean water and enough food on the table, somewhere else on Earth, millions of people are still struggling every single day just to stay alive. There are places where garbage becomes part of the scenery, where disease is an everyday occurrence, and where privacy and human dignity are nothing more than distant luxuries. On today's journey, we invite you to explore 11 places considered the worst to live, real urban hells, where life has been pushed to the absolute limits of human endurance. Gaza. If there is a place on Earth where daily life feels like a test with no finish line, it is Gaza. This narrow strip of land along the Mediterranean is home to more than 2 million people, compressed into a tight space surrounded by barriers, closed borders, and uncertainty that is stretched across generations. Gaza isn't just crowded, it's a city under constant strain. Every square foot carries worry, shortage, and a lingering sense of insecurity. Here, the greatest luxury isn't wealth, but a truly ordinary day. Electricity comes for only a few hours at a time. When night falls, much of the city slips into darkness, and families rely on candles, aging generators, or a patience learned through years of hardship. Clean water is even more fragile. Aging pipes and severe limits on supply force many families to depend on water trucks, deliveries that arrive unpredictably, if at all. Gaza airspace is controlled, borders are sealed, and leaving is nearly impossible for most residents. Years of instability have left deep scars. Homes lie damaged, hospitals are overwhelmed, and infrastructure struggles to hold together. They always face sudden blasts and sleepless nights, and then rebuild life with whatever remains: broken bricks, sheets of metal, and above all, hope. And yet, even in this urban crucible, Gaza endures. When power returns, small markets light up again. Children still find ways to laugh in narrow alleys. No matter how severe the test, the human spirit has a remarkable ability to survive. Kutupalong, the world's largest refugee settlement. This is a place where time seems to stand still. Located in southeastern Bangladesh, it is the largest refugee settlement in the world, home to nearly 1 million people living on bare hillsides with no clear plan for the future. From above, the camp looks endless. A sea of bamboo frames, plastic tarps, and metal roofs. Up close, it feels fragile. This is not a city, but a maze of temporary shelters held together by rope, wood, and human endurance. Kutupalong was not built by choice. It was created by people fleeing violence. Rohingya families arrived with almost nothing and were left with few options. They cannot legally work, travel freely, or own land. Children grow up without a clear path to education, and for many, temporary has lasted for years. During the rainy season, hillsides collapse and shelters are swept away by mud. In the dry months, extreme heat turns plastic roofs into ovens. Clean water is limited, sanitation is poor, and disease spreads easily. Medical clinics are overwhelmed, and resources are always stretched thin. But the greatest hardship here is not just poverty, it is being stuck. People cannot leave, they cannot rebuild their lives, and the future remains uncertain. And still, Kutupalong goes on living in its own quiet way. Each morning, cooking smoke rises from thousands of shelters. Children run barefoot, chasing a ball made from scraps of cloth. Men repair damaged roofs after strong winds. Women smile as they place a small bowl of warm rice into their children's hands. Migingo Island. Living here feels like being locked inside a metal box, floating in the middle of endless water. Migingo Island is so small you can walk all the way around it in under 2 minutes, yet more than 500 people call this tiny rock home. The entire island covers just about 21,500 square feet, smaller than a typical American high school football field. Corrugated metal shacks are packed tightly together, like scraps of steel washed ashore and permanently trapped in the middle of Lake Victoria. The air on Migingo is almost suffocating. The walkways are so narrow that if you stop for just a few seconds in the wrong spot, you block everyone behind you. Life on Migingo revolves around Nile perch, a large, oily fish with high commercial value. Fishermen head out before dawn and return exhausted, their daily catch deciding whether their families eat or go without. But that same value has turned Migingo into disputed territory. Both Kenya and Uganda claim ownership, and armed patrols regularly appear on the water. The ones who pay the price aren't governments, it's the fishermen. They face protection fees, confiscated catches, and even arrest for crossing invisible borders that don't exist on the open water. Infrastructure on Migingo is almost non-existent. Drinking water comes straight from the lake, the same water used for bathing, cleaning fish, human waste, and dumping engine oil. And the most puzzling part is this: no one leaves, all for the hope that tomorrow's catch might be just big enough to survive one more day, or maybe, someday, finally escape. Makoko Floating Slum. Hidden along the edge of Lagos, Nigeria's economic powerhouse, exists a completely different world. It's called Makoko, a floating slum. Makoko has no streets. Instead, it is built on narrow waterways filled with dark, polluted water. Wooden canoes are the only form of transportation. Homes stand on thin wooden stilts driven into the lagoon, swaying and fragile, just inches above the contaminated surface. Makoko survives in the shadows of a megacity of more than 20 million people. There is no proper sanitation here. Household waste, garbage, and human sewage flow directly into the water below. The lagoon, the same water used for daily life, is heavily polluted, allowing disease to spread easily. Diarrhea, skin infections, and waterborne illnesses are part of everyday life. Storms are a constant threat. Every heavy rainfall can destroy homes, weaken rotting wooden floors, and wash away what little people own. When strong winds combine with rising tides, the line between home and water nearly disappears. Lahore. If there is a place where simply opening a window triggers an immediate physical reaction, it is Lahore, a city that regularly ranks among the most air-polluted in the world. Here, the air isn't just dirty, it is thick, gray, and heavy. On some days, the sun nearly disappears, unable to break through the dense smog suspended above the streets. PM 2.5 levels in Lahore frequently soar far beyond safe limits. Health organizations warn that breathing this air for a single day can be comparable to smoking multiple packs of cigarettes. Children cough non-stop. Elderly residents sleep with oxygen tanks beside their beds. Hospitals remain overwhelmed with cases of pneumonia, asthma, and chronic respiratory disease. But toxic air is only the beginning. Trash is everywhere, lining sidewalks, clogging drainage systems, and filling blackened canals that cut through the city. The smell of garbage mixes with vehicle exhaust, creating an odor so strong that even longtime residents grimace without thinking. Lahore's crowded markets are lively but risky. Street food is often cooked in oil reused again and again. Dishes are washed in murky water. A cheap meal comes with health risks many people have learned to accept. And yet, Lahore does not fall silent. When night comes and the dust begins to settle, the city comes alive again. Night markets glow with light. Families gather on rooftops and in narrow alleys, hoping for a rare breeze drifting in from beyond the city. In the suffocating air, people still find ways to live. And that is the paradox of Lahore. Detroit, USA. Not because of war, not because of a natural disaster, but because here, your zip code can determine how long you live and how well. In wealthy neighborhoods like Grosse Pointe, with tree-lined streets, private clinics, and grocery stores stocked with fresh food, the average life expectancy reaches 82 years. But drive just 10 miles southwest into areas like Brightmoor or southwest Detroit, and that number drops sharply to 62 years. A 20-year gap in life expectancy, not by chance, but by decades of systemic neglect, poverty, and unequal access to health care. About 35% of Detroit's population lives in poverty, nearly 3 times the national average. Many families survive on less than $25,000 a year, turning basic necessities, fresh food, preventive care, safe housing, into luxuries. In lower-income neighborhoods, public hospitals like Detroit Receiving Hospital are routinely overwhelmed. Emergency rooms are packed, specialists are scarce, beds are limited. Even when someone calls 911, survival still has to wait. Average ambulance response times range from 15 to 20 minutes, roughly double those in wealthier suburbs. In emergency medicine, every minute can mean the difference between life and death. The crisis begins before life even starts. Detroit's infant mortality rate is 2.5 times the national average, about 14 deaths per 1,000 live births, compared to 5.4 nationwide. Babies born in neighborhoods like Côte Rouge face higher risks of premature birth, pregnancy complications, and chronic environmental stress, from polluted air to limited prenatal care. After Detroit's 2013 bankruptcy, the city's public health budget was cut by as much as 75%, and recovery has been painfully slow. Nonprofits depend on grants and donations, while large hospital systems in wealthier areas rarely share resources. Detroit is not an isolated case. It is a warning. And Detroit, in the harshest possible way, has become a living definition of what it means to survive miserably inside one of the wealthiest countries on Earth. La Rinconada. High in the Peruvian Andes, perched just below the clouds, sits La Rinconada, the highest city on Earth. At nearly 16,700 feet above sea level, life here begins with a simple struggle most people never think about: breathing. The air is thin, oxygen levels are dangerously low, and even standing still can leave newcomers dizzy, nauseous, and exhausted. Yet for tens of thousands of people, this extreme environment is not a destination. It is home. La Rinconada is not a planned city. There are no proper sewage systems, no organized waste collection, and only limited access to clean water. The streets are muddy and uneven, scattered with trash and often flooded by contaminated runoff from melting glaciers and nearby mines. Homes are pieced together from scrap metal, loose bricks, and plastic sheets, offering little protection against freezing temperatures that can strike at any time, even under the midday sun. People endure these conditions for one reason: gold. Most residents survive through manual gold mining, descending every day into dark, unstable tunnels carved directly into the mountainside. Many work under a brutal system known as cachorreo, laboring for weeks without pay, earning only the right to keep whatever ore they can carry out on the final day. For most miners, that final reward amounts to nothing at all. Accidents are frequent. Tunnel collapses, falls, and equipment failures are part of daily life. Long-term exposure to toxic chemicals such as mercury slowly damages the nervous system, lungs, and organs. Medical care is scarce, poorly equipped, and often overwhelmed, leaving countless illnesses and injuries untreated. La Rinconada is a city built on constant risk, a place where survival itself is a daily gamble. Kibera slum. Right in the heart of modern Nairobi, there exists a completely different reality. It is called Kibera, one of the largest slums in Africa. Here, hundreds of thousands of people live tightly packed into makeshift homes built from mud, scrap wood, rusted metal sheets, and discarded plastic, stretching as far as the eye can see. In Kibera, clean water is a luxury. Most residents must buy water from temporary vendors, often paying far more than people living in Nairobi's wealthier neighborhoods. Electricity is unreliable, frequently cutting out without warning, and many households have no steady power at all. When night falls, much of Kibera sinks into darkness, broken only by a few dim, flickering lights. Proper sanitation is nearly non-existent. Trash and dirty water run through narrow alleyways where barefoot children play every day. Diseases linked to contaminated water and poor living conditions are a constant threat, turning simple illnesses into serious risks. Most people in Kibera survive on extremely low incomes, working informal jobs with no contracts, no health insurance, and no safety net. Life here is not a dream, nor a choice. It is day-to-day survival inside a rapidly growing city that has left its most vulnerable residents behind. Kibera stands as a stark example of the cost of uneven urban development, an urban hell existing in plain sight right in the middle of a modern capital city. Agbogbloshe, the world's forgotten e-waste graveyard. Some places make you feel like you've stepped into the dark side of the digital age, and Agbogbloshe in Ghana is one of them. On the outskirts of Accra, this sprawling wasteland has become the final stop for tons of electronics from around the world. Once shiny phones, computers, and televisions now pile up into gray-black mountains of e-waste. The scene looks like a battlefield of metal, shattered keyboards, scorched cables, and broken circuits scattered across the ground. Adults and children weave their way through the heaps, searching for tiny pieces of copper that can fetch a few coins. A day's work in Agbogbloshe often brings just enough money for a single meal, but for many, it's their only source of income. The greatest danger here isn't the sharp edges or jagged metal, it's the toxic smoke. Residents burn plastic and cable casings to extract copper, sending up thick, choking black clouds. The acrid mix of burning plastic, metals, and chemicals seeps into every breath. Mercury, lead, and other hidden toxins linger in the dust, water, and air, posing daily threats to those who live here. Yet, amid the smoke and scattered scrap, life persists. Children kick around tattered soccer balls, a man sifts through piles of metal, and a woman smiles as she finds a glimmering scrap of copper. Agbogbloshe stands as a stark testament to human resilience, even when the world has seemingly turned its back. Tondo Slums, Manila, Philippines. On the outskirts of Manila's bustling port lies a world many modern eyes can hardly imagine. Tondo, the city's largest slum. Here, hundreds of thousands of residents squeeze into makeshift homes built from scrap metal, wood, and discarded plastic. Life in Tondo is harsh. Trash piles up everywhere, drinking water is unsafe, and bathrooms are virtually non-existent. Most residents survive on manual labor, odd jobs, or street vending. With low wages and no social safety net, each day is a struggle to secure enough food and clean water. Rain brings even more danger. Torrents wash through homes, mixing with trash, damaging the few possessions families own, and threatening their safety. Without proper drainage or urban management, Tondo exists as a fragile, temporary world where mere survival is the top priority. Yet, amid the debris and ramshackle shelters, life persists. Children play, adults hustle to make a living, and even the smallest smile shines as proof of human resilience, enduring in the face of relentless hardship. Yakutsk. If there is a place that makes you feel like you're living inside a giant freezer, it is Yakutsk, widely known as the coldest city on Earth, where people live year-round. Here, winter is not a season, it is the default state of existence. Temperatures around -40 degrees Fahrenheit are considered relatively mild. -58 degrees Fahrenheit is simply a normal winter day. At its coldest, Yakutsk has reached nearly -96 degrees Fahrenheit, cold enough to freeze the moisture in your breath the instant it leaves your mouth. Stepping outside in Yakutsk feels unlike anywhere else on Earth. Your face doesn't just feel cold, it feels pierced by needles. Breathing doesn't merely sting, it tightens your chest as if the air itself is squeezing your lungs. People wrap themselves from head to toe, wear special goggles to keep their eyelids from freezing shut, and layer 5 or 6 thick garments just to walk outside for a few minutes. Drop a glove on the ground, and it can freeze solid in less than a minute. Even the infrastructure of this city of roughly 330,000 residents must obey the cold. Buildings cannot be constructed directly on the ground. The permafrost below would melt and cause everything to collapse. Instead, homes and structures are built on tall concrete stilts, making the city look as if it's hovering above the frozen earth. And yet, Yakutsk is not frozen in time. The streets are lit, schools stay open. Children still run and play in temperatures that numb an adult's hands within minutes. Life continues, not despite the cold, but adapted to it. The people of Yakutsk have turned extreme cold into a rhythm of life. They don't see it as an enemy, but as something they've learned to live with over generations. Finally, this journey through the worst places to live reminds us of the fragility and strength of life. From frozen cities to sprawling slums, survival is both a challenge and a testament to the human spirit. What do you think? Let me know in the comments.